About churches, mosques, doing something that you can also buy these equipments, they're not too difficult to get. Wouldn't there be some sort of legislation to allow for these kind of things, for them to have clearance?
The equipment to clear vehicles is not a weapon that you are using to harm anybody. So definitely security equipments they have clearance. There are processes of acquiring them. They are not sold in the public. So once you approach, you need it. I mean, it could be given. They are defense equipment. They are screening equipment. They are not equipment. They are not offensive weapons. So it shouldn't be difficult for people to acquire them.
Mr. Maku, is it true that the president is being careful in these matters, in matters of terrorism? Some people feel that, we know the sponsors, but we're just being very careful with them because of political reasons.
I don't believe so. Again, these are all people unduly politicize every gesture of the president. The president is a calm person. And what we need in leadership at this time in a difficult country, difficult circumstances, somebody who is calm, somebody who is not flippant in judgment, somebody who is studied and make decisions deliberately, not on the rush of emotions, because it does not help. And I think we should be lucky at this time that we have a level-headed president that has depth, has patience, has capacity to analyze issues, and is not going to rush on emotions. I think we are used to having people who come with a swagger and with a cane, because we are used to military rule for a long time, that if he comes and puts the hammer on the table and things are done. We saw it never happened. So I keep making the point. This president, we are lucky that we have him there now, because he has stabilized the country. He has calmed things, and because he is a patient person with depth and humility. Because this, for me, are the strength of a leader. Not somebody who just come and be hitting the tables or come on a horseback. That's not the kind of leadership we need.
Okay.
So, and he's recording a lot of things in this area.
Do we expect security, maybe overhaul, rejig, as it were?
Well, we are here now. I'm here with you. I've just had a news item now. Like the president met here with the security chiefs and said a lot of actions will be announced. So I'm here. I'm in Lagos. I don't know the details.
But your information minister, you should have gotten the detail before you come on live television.
I'm information minister, but I'm not on the security council. So the president is always there to review situation. I'm expecting, as all of us are expecting from the announcement by security chiefs, that more measures will be announced.
Well, good enough. At least you say, well, he's calmed the country. Well, that takes us to some kind of very quickly, because we actually run out of time, to what has just happened, and that's the Supreme Court ruling. Some say, with all of that coming to an end, it will definitely give the president all the confidence and time. He's not distracted anymore, so there shouldn't be any excuse for 2012. But anyway, tell us your thinking about that particular ruling.
Well, first of all, I've always believed that, and the media must also help us. We want a democracy.
What has the media done wrong?
Let me finish. You want a democracy. Democracy has rules. You want to participate in a democratic process. It has values, it has principles, it has rules, and it is law governed. We held an election in this country where the president said, "Don't rig for me. My ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian." He followed it up. He appointed someone he didn't know, a radical university scholar who was an ASU leader, as an election commission chairman, INEC chairman. And we proceeded to hold an election in which, for the first time, the global community, with all the observers on ground, pronounced this election as free and fair, and representing the true wishes of Nigerians. It was shocking that somebody would even go to court in the first instance. It's only in Nigeria that would have happened. Then, in the end, who went to court? What was the structure of the party that went to court? It was CPC. CPC was a party that was less than 2 years old. It did not have structures in the whole of southern Nigeria. In the north, its base was mainly the northwest. In the north central, we didn't have any real CPC structures, except people.
That's actually debatable, because we saw candidates in almost all parts of the country, Lagos inclusive.
Going to all parts of the country is a different thing from having structures to win an election. You must have an organization on ground. CPC didn't have. It was not in control of a single state in Nigeria. No single councillor, no local government chairman, no governor, no legislator. So how did CPC expect that in a large and variegated federation like Nigeria, it will win election at its first attempt? And what was the platform? CPC's election in the last month became purely a religious affair, an ethnic affair. In the north, especially in the northwest, we have security reports, we have reports by major politicians. They were being attacked in mosques. If you did not vote CPC, so like you are not a Muslim. They went on that line.
Well, just Muslims were being attacked.
Listen, major leaders cried out. You know, CPC took an ethnic and religious line in this campaign. It didn't care about the rest of the country, and it expected to win a federal election, which was not possible. Even in the north, where it won the election, in all the states that General Buhari won election in the north, they were not. All those states were either PDP or ANPP. It won presidential election in those states, and then what followed was a gale of violence. How do you win an election in a state where you have no control? If you say
reports, listen to me. Even the committee that the government itself set up, the committee said that the violence was not predicated on the party.
That is not true. That isn't true. That's not. I've read the report of the committee.
Is not the same
can I finish? I read the report of that committee, and I also appeared before the Lemu committee.
The Lemu committee.
Yes. Before the election, what was the CPC candidate talking about? People should defend their votes. In which democratic country do you have a national leader standing election asking citizens to defend votes? Because when you say that, it is a call to action. You would only defend votes in an election by going to court, by following the due process of law. Now, some pronouncements were made. In the end, the mob took advantage of it and unleashed violence in some parts of the north. Now, the election result came out. I expected that in that election, and General Buhari said he was not going to go to court. In the end, he ended up in court.
Then you went to
His party went to court.
I saw him in the Supreme Court. Listen to me. It is the problem.
He's still a member of the party.
But he went to court. He was the one sitting in the Supreme Court. So the party, if you say you are not going to court, the party will not go to court because it's the president that's standing for the election anyway. So in the end, he went to court. You rejected the votes of Nigerians. You rejected the court ruling in the first court of
which he has a right to.
No. You reject the court ruling. You rejected the votes. The wishes of Nigerians. You went to court. You rejected the ruling of the appeal court. You went to the Supreme Court on appeal. You rejected the judgment. Listen to me, and it's fundamental here, because there is no way we will live in a country in which, in an election that was nationally and internationally pronounced to be free and fair, and a candidate that wishes to lead Nigeria cannot accept court judgment, cannot accept the votes of Nigerians. So what type of democracy are we going to run?
He has a right to accept or not.
But that is the problem. You have a right, but that's the point we're making. You are in a variegated and difficult situation in Nigeria. In 1960, Nixon and Kennedy stood an election in America. The gap between Nixon and Kennedy was less than 100,000 votes, so about that figure. The Republican Party urged Nixon to go to court. He said, no, my ambition is not as great as the stability of America. He congratulated Kennedy. By 1968, he was elected as president. In the year 2000, all Nigerians are witnesses here. In spite of all the Florida problem, the election came out. The candidate of the Democratic Party, Al Gore, was ahead of George Bush by more than 100,000 votes. George Bush was a minority candidate in terms of the popular votes in America. But they had this arcane electoral college system which says that he won the election in most states, therefore he had the electoral college votes. The Democratic Party went to court. When the court ruled, Al Gore congratulated George Bush that had less votes than himself in that election. Excuse me, when will General Buhari understand that in a democracy you can be defeated? If General Buhari, I expected after the Supreme Court judgment, especially in the last election, that General Buhari will call the president, because the president said, look, my brother, thank you, this thing is over, come, let us work together. He issued a very volatile statement rejecting the Supreme Court, abusing the judges that it was politically motivated and therefore he will not accept the judgment, and then proceeded to say that there will be breakdown of law next year. What type of thing is that? If we are running a democracy, we all know him, we respect him, but he has not conducted himself as a statesman. In a difficult situation like Nigeria is now, General Buhari would have made a significant difference if he had called the president and said, look, my brother, it's all over, I congratulate you. Excuse me,
all of these amounts to your rights.
Because his lawyers accepted it.
His lawyers accepted it.
Exactly, yes.
You saw it on television. The lawyers also said,
I agree with you. He's not obliged. But there are consequences of every action you take. Al Gore was not obliged to congratulate George Bush. After all, he had less votes than himself. Nixon was not obliged not to go to court.
Yeah, but our democracy is new. We've seen governments change hands on political basis, but that hasn't happened in Nigeria.
It has happened here. We have had election this year. We have many people.
PDP lost presidential elections since inception.
Election must not change only at the federal level. If any party works hard, it could have defeated PDP. But look at the situation today. You were here in Ogun State, in the almost all of the Southwest for the first time. PDP lost election. Obasanjo lost election in his state. His daughter lost. The Speaker of the House of Representatives lost and congratulated his opponent. Now, I think we Nigerians and the media must understand that politicians have a responsibility also for the stability of democracy. Nobody is obliged. I can decide to reject the courts. I as a national politician, each time a national leader abuses the judiciary, because you're also destroying the credibility of our national institutions. You abuse INEC, it's made up of dishonest people. You abuse the Supreme Court, it's made up of dishonest people. So who is honest? Only General Buhari? I think what I'm looking at is this. Democracy has ethos, it has traditions, it has responsibilities. And national leaders, their pronouncements can either create panic and divisions or unite the country.
Mr. Maku, just one question, yes, because we're about to round off.
Yes.
Just one question.
Yes.
Do you think that he rejected them on valid grounds? I mean, looking at the points
there was no valid ground because the Supreme Court even advised his lawyers. This case should never have come to court. You needed to be in court. I was there physically and I saw it. What case did he have? The Supreme Court advised lawyers, look, don't come to court next time with a case that has no foundation. Because it's an abuse of court process. And I think what I'm talking about is the democratic temper. Because national politicians must first have a democratic temper, and our attitude to elections is very crucial.
We just in
this particular instance,
sorry,
I think it did not show maturity.
All right, well, thank you for coming. There are viewers who still think that we need this kind of passion you exhibited on election matters, on the terrorism matters that are going on.
Yes. What we're doing.
If we could transfer it, they say they will appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, but again, this is the cynical attitude the media creates. It's cynical. It's wrong.
How is that?
Listen, what we see, we are dealing with different. And let me tell you, some of the crises we're having also was the kind of route that the election took.
No, this is a direct response from news.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Watching, so we're just conveying it to you.
I'm appealing to him to understand that some of the security problems we've had were heightened by the pre-election crisis and the fact that after the election many people died.
Okay.
And again, when you create that kind of division, citizens react negatively.